behind us, right on the side of us. You could kind of see the thing moving through the woods.
All I can remember is flipping the light on, and I see this creature, and I knew in my heart, I knew in my mind, in the whole night, this isn't a man.
And then this thing walks across the road, takes a turn towards us, and then leaps over a guardrail.
Went to look forward, and there was a big black face.
Welcome to Squatch-D TV, exploring the Bigfoot mystery each week with your hosts, veteran researcher, author, and TV personality, the Squatch Detective, Steve Kulls, and from the Bigfoot Research Project of Kentucky, Chris Bennett. Sit back and buckle up as we bring you guests from around North America discussing the Bigfoot phenomena, but not without a few laughs, too. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D TV for today's date, June 19th, 2022. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective, Steve Kulls, along with my fellow father, Mr. Chris Bennett down there. Happy Father's Day to you, Chris, and to all the dads out there.
Happy Father's Day to you and everybody, all the other dads listening. Yes, it's great to be here. We've made it for another show.
We sure have.
And I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat in here tonight, looks like. And
yeah, we got
wait a minute.
ton.
Do my eyes deceive me? Is Bigfoot Okanagan? Leon, are you in here?
Leon is back.
Leon.
And it's good to see Leon.
Good to see Leon back.
And it was good to hear Leon's voice today. And he's still got a road to go down, but we're all behind him.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
You know.
But, hey, man, every step in the direction of being better is a step in the right direction. So you just keep on doing what you're doing, Leon. Hang in there, buddy.
Our good Canadian brother up there.
That's right.
You know, thank God you're here. And, dude, you got many years to go. Many years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're just getting started.
That's it. So anyway, let's go for the roll call tonight. First in, sorry, Joe, was Low Rider. Hello, Low. And, of course.
Low Rider. And Joe.
And Joe. Not first. I'm never first.
Yeah.
Something to Sasquatch about's in the house as well. Welcome. I'm third, and that's good enough for me. And we got Gary Johnson. Hello, Gary. Anita Hybachuk. Hello, Anita. Welcome, welcome. True Quest. Good to see you.
True Quest. Yeah, good one.
Don Fuller. There he is.
Donald.
We already said Life is a Flyway. Going down. Angel Nolan in the house. Hello, Angel.
Angel.
Grasshopper. Hello,
Grasshopper. Great.
So we got to go through the chat here. Mr. Lee 3PO. Hello to you, sir.
Lee
welcome,
3PO.
Welcome.
All right.
And of course, Mick. Mick is here on time.
Mick,
the meatloaf
good to see you, buddy.
Meatloaf did not trip him up today. Let's see. Man. Who else? Going down the list. List. Nikki is in the house. Hello from Harry Man, Hoodwinks and Hoaxes and Hoodwinks. Patty Troy. Hello, Patty. Good to see you. Patty. Thank you for the happy Father's Day.
Wow, the chat room has been. You got some. Yeah,
they're going crazy. Who else? Let's see. Sharky. Hello, Sharky. Brandy. Hello, Brandy.
Hi, Brandy.
Bigfoot. Of course, Leon's out there. Hello again.
Yeah, Leon.
And, we'll take it. And Sherry's there.
Hi, Sherry.
Sherry is there. I mean, it jumped a little bit, but anyway, in case, and you know what I love is right now, in case anybody decides to swear, this beep got to end, man. It's got to end.
Okay. That's classic. I love that. It's wonderful.
So we got the whole cast of characters in the queue tonight. So anyway, what are we going to talk about tonight? Well, today is of course Father's Day. So I figured we're two dads. We can talk whatever the hell we want to talk about tonight, including Bigfoot, especially Bigfoot. And I understand that the Mike Ann, Tactical Bigfoot Research, sent me a snippet from Instagram. Mm-hmm. I don't have it uploaded. Today was actually a very busy day for moi. Beautiful day here. The high of 71 and breezy with a nice cool breeze. Yeah. And we're actually going down to 49 tonight.
Oh, wow.
But that's beautiful, man. Nice, cool nights. Well, nice.
Yeah, that's still a little chilly.
Is Brent in the house? I think Brent's in the house too. Yep, there he is. Yep, tall ones.
Hi, Brent.
Hey, Brent. So a very beautiful day, a few clouds, but most of the day cloudless.
Yeah.
And, so it was a great day. Hung out with our good friends, Scott and Michelle, for a little while today. We went, we decided to, they needed to, they needed to hit Walmart. Sherry needed to hit Walmart because she gets her meds through Walmart. Mm-hmm. So we all piled into the Squatchmobile and we all went for a little drive. We looked at that particular thing we were discussing earlier.
Yeah.
We stopped over there, took a walk around. Bigfoot New York, Todd in the house, Sandra Piper in the house.
Hey, Todd.
And
Sandra.
DM Zabo in the house.
DM Zabo, DMZABO,
so hello everybody.
It's like Ace Frehley, a thing. I like that. Ace Frehley, my favorite guitarist. Loved Ace Frehley.
Mine was Daryl Abbott.
Oh, really? Yeah.
From Pantera. But anyway, so we so the day's been quite productive. Of course, I was up early today and working on a few things and I'll just come out and say it that for the last 4.5 years,
almost 5, yeah,
almost 5. Yeah. This has been where I'm sitting here has been Squatch Detective headquarters. Because of events out of my control, this building has been sold and is going to be used for other purposes, apparently. So within the next 115 days, at the maximum, Squatch-D headquarters will be changing. This in the midst of my inventory schedule, which I go through every year now. Unfortunately, I got the wrong inventory schedule when I said there aren't too many Sundays. There are a lot of Sundays for about a period of 6 weeks. So from the last week of July through the first week of September, I'm not quite sure the exact date. Y'all know we will be on hiatus at least for the month of August, and probably the last week of July. Then starts the Bigfoot days. So, just so you know, July 9th, which is a Saturday, I believe, if I have my dates correct in my head with that one, I will be at the Hadley, Massachusetts Public Library doing a lecture for them and answering any questions about the topic. September 25th will be the Whitehall Sasquatch Festival. October 15th will be Chautauqua Lake Bigfoot Festival in the beautiful Camp Oniasa in DeWittville, New York, which is on the other side of Lake Chautauqua. I should say on the eastern side of Lake Chautauqua. And then, of course, we have the following October 22nd, we have Squatchtober from Squatch-Massachusetts, and that'll be, I believe, a 2.5 day event, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe just a day event on August 22nd, or I'm sorry, on October 22nd. So I have quite the
gonna be a busy schedule, bud.
A little bit. Now, all of that plus the fact that I have to plus my inventory schedule, which will take me, a couple of weeks, a lot of traveling. And in case people know who know New York, I'm going to have to spend 3 days in the Mid-Hudson Valley area.
Right.
At some point, I'm going to have to spend a couple of days in Vermont, the Vermont Plattsburgh area. That'll be another 2 or 3 day event for me. And then we have all the local Capital District stores. And then there's the another one where it's Oneonta and Pittsfield, Mass. So quite a lot of traveling and all of that. And at the same time, I'm going to have to close on a home.
Yep.
Starting the mortgage process this week, closing on a home between now and then.
Oh, wonderful.
And then if we get the place we want, it's only 5 miles up the road, still in the woods, still have all the technological advantages.
Yeah.
In fact, the funny thing is all the services run right by the house, so it's all good.
Oh, good.
And so, if I can get that move done on our hiatus, so when we come back, the studio will be set. We should be good to go.
Well, that'll be good.
Just a lot of.
Well, during the hottest of the summer months, anyway, it seems like activity kind of slows down, and not as many sightings or not as much activity. I guess it depends on where in the country you are, though. Some places may pick up, but it seems like overall during the hottest of the summer months, activity slows down a little bit. Not as many sightings and stuff.
He'll be running shine across 10 states. I wish.
So
I got a lot to deal with.
A lot coming up, a lot on you, but I feel for you.
Well, the beautiful thing is that, when I work inventory days, they're long days,
Yeah.
So, it'll probably be like 4-day work weeks for me, which in turn will assist me in getting things packed up.
Yeah.
And once the mortgage closes, it's only 5 miles away. So all the small stuff and all the electronics, I always take over by myself because I don't want them damaged. I don't want them boxed up. I'll take them over myself. And then the movers will have to do the heavy lifting. And because I'm not going to move stuff. I've never had a good, strong, a lot of people don't know, but I have a bad back. I've had a couple of T1, C8 that every once in a while will bulge and it'll cause me to have problems. And usually they're results of a fall or some sort of accident. A few years back, 2019, I fell really bad. I broke 2 or 3 ribs falling down a flight of wet stairs on a camp when I was at the last Pennsylvania Bigfoot camping adventure. It rained overnight. I grabbed my bags. I grabbed my bags, take them down the stairs, and I went down, I think, a total of 9 stairs and hit the rib cage. Probably 7 of those 9. And I was flat on my back at the bottom of the stairs, and wind knocked out of me. It was quite bad.
Yeah, that sucks.
And then the ribs healed, and then the discs bulged again. And the last time they bulged is as a result of a fall back like 7 years earlier. So I dealt with those bulging discs for they bulged longer than they ever had. It lasted about 9 months. And the first 3 months, I was an excruciating. A lot of people didn't know I was in excruciating pain. My left shoulder, I could not move over my head at all. I couldn't. If I did this, the pain would shoot through me. Remarkably bad. And, so what I ended up having to do was hit the gym and hit the weights, and that kind of pops everything back in. So, yeah.
Tough. You're a tough old bird.
I am.
You still get it done.
Oh, by the way, mix it. A free 10-pound meatloaf comes with every keg of shine.
Ooh, a keg of shine. Wow.
Keg of shine. And a meatloaf. 10 pound.
Money there, bud.
10 pound of meatloaf. Boy, that's some eating for a couple of days.
Yeah. Hey, man, I love a good meatloaf. As a matter of fact, I've never had a bad one.
Oh, I have.
I know Mick's you're gonna say something about that, but I've never had a bad meatloaf. I don't care who made it. I love meatloaf.
Well, good. When you come up to New York, I'll make you a nice, good meatloaf.
Dude, I'll eat it. Yes. You can't go wrong with meatloaf.
Yep. Mr. Lee 3PO said he got a pin in on from a bike accident. Yeah. I understand that completely too. When I was 17, there's another little known fact. When I was 17, there's 140 stitches going around this eye. Yep. Went face first. Face plant. Was wearing sunglasses.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
That hurts me just thinking about that. Oh, change the subject. It's killing me.
I remember the day I sit there and my shoulder fell off me. But, we were a tough old bird, so we just screwed it back in and kept on moving. Anyway, yeah.
Well, let's talk about something different. Like with the high price of gasoline, I'm thinking about getting my distiller's license here in Kentucky and making my own fuel.
Oh, when you said distiller's license, I thought you meant Boozolini.
Well, yeah, you can get a federal government permit to have your own alcohol still for distilling alcohol fuel for your car. So, they really want it to be used like for off-road purposes. So I'll be distilling alcohol fuel for my lawnmower, I guess. And I probably wouldn't want to run it in my chainsaws because that would be a bunch of trouble trying to get the correct mixture to mix with lubrication. But I think it would be fine for the lawnmower engines. And
Robitussin takes care of every ache and pain. That's right. Put the tussin on it. Rub the tussin on it. Anybody doesn't know the movie reference? That was My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Put some tussin on it.
Yeah. But with gasoline, though, everybody, for years now, Steve, well, I won't say for years. Actually about the last 3, I've been taking the ethanol out of my gasoline that I put in the lawnmower engines and stuff because the ethanol fuel, which, it's alcohol, goes in the gasoline to make it go a little further, like E10 or whatever. And that eats up the carburetors on those little engines. I mean, eats them up. You can just count on, you're going to have to replace the carburetor because inside is going to be have this white chalky powder after the first season when it sits, or first off season.
Yep.
But gas is so expensive now. Now I'm thinking about adding more ethanol and just replacing the carburetors. The carburetors are about $15. So,
But what I found is that because I had a truck that was a flex fuel vehicle, which means I could put, and I tried ethanol once in it. Mm-hmm. And whereas I got it was a Ford Ranger XLT. It got shitty gas mileage as it was. I usually get 285 miles on a tank.
Yeah.
When I put the ethanol in it, I got 195 miles on that tank.
Yeah.
So the
oh my goodness,
it just like why bother for the 20-cent difference? I'm ending up filling it up just as much.
Yeah.
So
well, I ran it on. Still got it. It's a 96, I think, Jeep Grand Cherokee, one of my favorite vehicles in the world, and it's got the V8. It's got the 318 Chrysler V8 engine in it, and it was fuel injected and everything. And I ran that thing off E85. Now, it's not a flex fuel engine, and it's not supposed to run off E85. But, I started mine mixing it 50-50 because all engines will run up to 50% ethanol without doing anything.
Yep.
So I started running mine 50-50 on gasoline and E85. And then I started mixing a little more E85. And eventually, I was just pulling up to the E85 pump, filling her up. Well, my gas mileage before, we're talking V8 Jeep, full-time four-wheel drive, I could squeeze about 16 miles to the gallon out of it, which, that was pretty decent. And, but now after I started using the E85, it dropped down to an average of 12 to 14 miles per gallon. Now that did kind of suck, but it really wasn't too much worse than what I was already getting, on regular gasoline.
Hey, anyway, there's a few more folks that popped in. I want to say hello to them as well. First of all, we got Jay Fritz popped in. Hello, Jay. Arthur Watch. Arthur is in the house. Mike Ann, the Tactical Bigfoot Research in the house. Matt from Central Florida Bigfoot's in the house.
Matt.
And good seeing you guys. Who else? Bigfoot New York Todd. Hello.
Hey, Todd.
Yep. I want to make sure we get everybody to say hello to. Yeah. So,
Anita?
You know what? It is what it is. Eventually, gas will eventually come down sometime.
Oh, yeah. It has to. Yeah. Because if it keeps on going up, nobody's going to buy it. They're going to just walk, Today, I had to get gasoline for the lawnmowers. So, because unfortunately, we have grass we have to mow. If I could, take a break and just let it grow up, but, Sandy would not like that. She likes a nice, clean, mowed lawn, so that's not going to work. So we had to go pick up some gas for the lawnmowers.
Yep.
Well, that's like 5 gallons in a can. And my little low fuel light was flashing on the truck, so I thought, well, I'll put in 1 gallon.
Big spender.
That's what I did. I put in 1 gallon in the truck, just enough for the low fuel light to stop flashing at me. And then I drove the 1 mile back to the house. It's not like, we're way, way, way out of town, but I'm close enough. I could walk and get a gallon of gas if I needed to. But I refuse to buy any more gasoline than I absolutely have to have.
Yeah,
and Grasshopper, he's pointing out ethanol burns up the aluminum. It breaks down aluminum. Yeah, it does. And if you use it in your lawnmower, your push lawnmower or your riding lawnmower, guarantee it will eat that carburetor alive from the inside out.
Don, I tell you what, if you want to come down sometime in July, hey, you want to come in studio for a show? We'd be glad to have you.
That'd be fun.
Awesome. Yeah, come on down. You can sit here and we can do the show together and chat with Chris down in Kentucky and all the rest of the fine folks. You want to come down some Sunday, just let me know. I'm usually off on Sundays, and like I say, till the end of July, and then September, September when we roll at that, with the exception of maybe the week we're doing Chautauqua, because it's, Chautauqua is a 5-hour drive from where I'm at.
Whoa.
So, probably if there's one part of the state that's furthest from me, it's probably Chautauqua, a little further, Jamestown. I think, Don, that would be awesome. Come down. We'll have a little cookout before the show, and, come meet the pups, and that'd be awesome.
I might have to take a minute here, Steve. I have a doggy revolt going on upstairs. I've got to go see what's going on.
Uh-oh.
I'll be right back.
So anyway, folks, while Chris deals with his canine intrusion problem, Mike had actually Tactical Bigfoot Research showed me had showed me an Instagram post about a Bigfoot caught on webcam. And see, this is how rolling off of what we dealt with earlier. If anybody didn't catch Hairy Man Hoaxes and Hoodwinks, Nikki's show that aired tonight at 7 p.m. Catch it in replay. I was on there with the great Brent Dill from the Tall Ones. We talked about different pictures. And of course, this picture that Tack sent me with the Instagram post saying, "Oh, Bigfoot caught on trail camera," and it was actually a still frame of the Morgan Matthews Bigfoot that supposedly pushed him over where Rick Dyer was. So, the hoaxes perpetuate constantly. But the real cool thing is that on that show we talk about the Louisiana picture with that thing in the water. And I think we pretty much nailed it on the head on that show. I won't release the secret on that one. I know a lot of you in chat know because you were on that show. But for people who haven't caught that show that, listen on Audible or Amazon Music or iHeartRadio or Spotify, always catch our show on the live side. The Tonight Show is not going to be a very visual show. So that's a kind of a cool thing for those who are listening on those platforms. But if you haven't caught Nikki's show, go over, check it out as well. A really entertaining show tonight. Hello, Chris. Has the canine revolt been suppressed?
I am back. Yes, I found out what the issue was.
What was the issue?
Sandy had let 4 of them outside on the back porch to wander around out there and be quiet while the show's going on. And she went outside and started doing some work. She's out there doing something now. I don't know. And she unfortunately left 2 inside. Well, the 2 inside were not happy. So they were voicing their
opinion.
They were voicing their opinion that they were treated unfairly by being left inside and everybody else got to go out. So I just opened the door and let everybody in and closed the door. So now everything is quiet, all is well in Dogville upstairs. You gotta love them. You gotta love them.
Yeah, but all the Bigfoot are on this side of the state. We know that, Tack.
Oh man!
Tack said that all the cool kids live on this side of the state, which is the western part.
Yeah.
And Joe was so quick to say, "That's right, Mike." All right. All right. We know who's wearing. Next time our guys are on expedition with me, we know who's wearing the pork chops. And then
oh no, Steve, you might have to move to the other side of the state so you'd be one of the cool kids. Sound like they're starting their own club.
I said something about the pork chops. Hey, wait a minute.
Oh, you guys are killing me.
Good Lord. That's very interesting. Mr. Lee 3PO, I'm in London. I'm London. Cool though. And hello to Brian. Brian, welcome. And hey, thank Brian. You, sir. Back at you if you're a dad as well.
Good to see you too, Brian. Wow.
Yeah, so the internet has been just spewing more crap every day, and when it comes to pictures and stuff, and the big takeaway from that show was, as I've always said, make sure these pictures have stories. And if you're out there doing Bigfoot research, please, we implore you, our audience implores you, if you're listening or, because I know my audience, I'm preaching to the choir. If you're going to release something, do your due diligence before you release something.
Yeah. Good
We are
idea.
not witnesses. So, if we're doing, something and we capture something on it, do your due diligence, put it out there with the right disclaimers on it. Just don't say, hey, look at this, look what we got. And it'd be a blob squatch, which so many of these fly-by-nighters do. They're so quick to put their stuff out. It's like a race. And we're not in a race. We're in it for the long haul. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And
well, you gotta admit though, Steve, too, though, if you do have a legit sighting and you were able to snap a photo or two, of what you saw while
right,
seeing
that's
it,
completely
to you, it's completely different than showing it to somebody else. Somebody else looks up, they see a blob, they're like, "What is that?"
And that's why I would always come with a disclaimer. Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
This isn't the greatest picture, but this is what we saw, and we saw it with our own eyes, and it was very different than what we were able to photograph when we captured. So we apologize for that. That's the way my flow would be. Like many years ago, the late Adirondack Jack Leach had an encounter.
Yeah.
And he had taken a picture, and it was very blobby. But the fact is, the reason why we posted it is because he saw it, and he was able to pull a camera out, his little pocket camera he always carried with him when he went hunting, and he snapped a picture of it because he always kept the camera in case he saw something really cool.
Right. Yeah.
And he snapped a picture, and yes, it was a blob squatch at best. You couldn't see any real definition of anything, but you see this dark something in the woods. He took a picture of it, and if you believe his story, he that's what he did. So that's why we chose to show the picture, because it kind of it corroborates in some sort his story, or his story is corroborated that what you're looking at is potentially a Sasquatch. So that's the reason why we put it out there in that particular aspect. But if somebody says, oh, I was just aimlessly shooting in the woods and this is what I got, the problem is that the pictures that come out are just these blobs with no nothing to them. Oh, look at this trail cam photo I got. Okay. Can you tell us a little more about that? The date, the time, any activity? Did you go out and look around? Did you, because, now if you're a witness, I can understand that. Hey, what do you think? I think it is. I don't think it is. I think it's something else. Completely, off the rail there.
Yeah.
But
there's stuff that goes along with a photo too. You got to go back and do a follow-up, the same area, take a picture of that same area again and look and see, is that same blobby looking thing still there? Or
here comes a joke I can tell you. Hey, Chris, we figured out how we keep getting rock throws. Go ahead, Mike, follow it up.
Yeah, what is that? Let me hear this, Mike.
Here it is. I know exactly what he's going to say.
Oh.
We talked about it. It's a good thing they don't have tomatoes. They're throwing tomatoes. You want me to just tell him, Mike?
I've only heard, Mike's probably types as fast as I do.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody could type as slow as I do. But
don't forget, we have about a minute delay.
I had caught one rock throw on camera one time, and I didn't see the physical rock or anything, but something hurled a rock and it hit a tree, and I mean it made a big thud within 100 yards of me. And
here it is.
What is it?
Hey, Chris, we figured out how we keep getting rock throws. It's due to at Squatch-D TV singing and no tomatoes in the woods. But, the funny thing is I actually do not have a bad voice when I sing for real. Chris has heard me.
Yeah, I've heard it.
And
pretty
not bad.
Cool. I wouldn't throw a tomato at him or a rock. Oh man! Oh no! You guys in chat are killing me.
And Matt says, but Mike, he's faster than a kayak.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But I did. I got one rock throw, and it was a big thud that hit the side of the tree, and then you could hear the rock bouncing on the ground as it fell, and I was really thrilled to death. Didn't have a sighting that day, but I did get someone or something through it, and it sounded like at least a baseball size rock. And man, that thing had a big impact on that tree. And I'm fairly certain if it would have thrown a rock at me that hard and hit me in the head, I'd be dead.
Now, I don't know what's going on over there in London.
Uh-oh.
But Mr. Lee 3PO said, time for the bong. Did you mean gong? Because the B and the G are together. Depending on if you're going to keep on listening, it may be time for the bong.
Is that like tea time? I know they have tea time over there. A lot of people drink tea.
It's not 420 in London now, is it?
That's one of the differences in our cultures between our friends over in the UK and us. A lot of tea gets consumed there, and we don't really drink that much tea. I guess, I drink iced tea, on occasion. But if you pour like hot tea in a cup, that's not for me. But now my wife, she's originally from Thailand, and she likes hot tea in a cup. I don't know why, but 'cause I don't, but she does. But put some ice in it, and throw about a 5-pound sack of sugar in it. It's fine with me. I love iced tea. Green tea. Oh yeah. Yeah. She drinks that sometimes too. Green tea. That's supposed to be like a healthy thing. Like if you, a lot of women, my woman, my better half, she'll drink green tea every now and then, and that's kind of like a dietary thing or a cleansing thing. And I tried some of it. It's just I think it's worse than regular tea. But I'm just not a tea drinker.
So you're not the green tea drinker, huh?
No, thanks.
I'll tell you what, Chris. There's only one tea we drink around here.
Are you Bigfooters thirsty out there? Well, I suggest to get a delicious, refreshing Snapple. Yes, even the most famous Bigfoot rush to the store to get themselves their favorite beverage, a delicious peach Snapple. No need to be cranky when you can just ask your loved one for a delicious beverage.
Got it? Yo, get me a Snapple.
And don't be in such a hurry. There's plenty at the store.
Get me a Diet Peach Snapple.
Try delicious peach Snapple.
Yo, get me a Snapple.
Had to do it. We started talking about tea.
Yes. But it's not hot though. It comes in a cold or a glass container, cold usually. But yeah, a lot of people like hot tea across the sea, and we drink ours cold mostly.
Yep. And hello to Michael Haywood and Mary Rollers in the town, and Jen just strolled in too.
Mike, hey, good. Yeah. Jen? Oh yeah, coffee. Yeah, everybody drinks coffee in the States except me. I cannot stand the taste of coffee. I can drink it if you add 5 gallons of milk and about a pound of sugar per cup. I can drink it like that.
If I don't have my coffee in the morning, I'm a bear.
Well, that's the way my wife is she's got to have that coffee. And I love the smell. Don't get me wrong. I'll make coffee for her, and I enjoy that smell. It smells so good, but man, the smell is deceiving.
Yes, sir.
Like, oh, this smells so good. I bet it's gonna taste great. Yeah.
You didn't like coffee? Joe says, I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
Well, I'm sorry, Joe. Man,
Yep, and there's the cultural difference. Coffee I do not like, and I understand that. I understand. When I was in Scotland, I was able to get coffee every morning, so I was happy about it. In fact, when I got to the airport at Gatwick, I remember first thing is I need a coffee. Of course, I took the red-eye flight to Gatwick, so I left Raleigh, Durham. I think my flight left at like 11:30 p.m. and I arrived at Gatwick. Probably, I gotta say, it was probably around 8 in the morning. So of course I was like, oh, coffee, I need coffee, because I had a 2.5 hour layover, and then I had to take EasyJet,
right,
which everybody complains about. I heard up to Inverness, from Gatwick to Inverness. That was during the the shooting of The Truth Behind the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah.
So, which was, and the funny thing is that kind of segues into our conversation we had over on Nikki's show about that. We talked briefly about the Vermont trail cam photo and the processes that it takes, not just to put stuff out there for the sake of putting it out there, do your due diligence. Yeah. And actually, when I had gotten that picture, it was like a day or two before I had to fly to Scotland. So while I'm supposed to be catching up on this, the Loch Ness Monster, because I had all the literature that I was kind of brush up on, I'm sitting here looking at this picture going, kind of looks like an owl, but it's not. They don't think it is. And then, of course, but exciting times for sure. You just learn you never can predicate evidence. You should never go in necessarily like the prison video. I had a tremendous bias. Oh, what's this going to be? And it was fascinating, regardless if it's a Sasquatch or not. It was fascinating. Right. So you take every bit of information that you can about video, pictures, whatever. And if there is none, guess what? It's nothing. It doesn't matter how good a picture looks. Doesn't matter how great it may seem. If there's no story behind it, no location, no person behind it, it's garbage, because it's not worth anything. It'd be like saying, oh, here's this DNA sample to test. Where does it come from? I don't know. What's it from? I don't know. Who's collected it? I don't know. Well, where's the chain of evidence? I don't know. It's it's nothing. If that was done on science wise, it's nothing. Okay. Crime wise, if you're doing an investigation, it's nothing. It only counts as evidence if there's a history behind it, chain of evidence, chain of custody, all that stuff. Obviously.
Oh, there's Steve, Curious Cryptid.
There he is. What's up, Steve-O?
Oh, Steve says, any small airline that has not been shut down is one you'll probably survive.
The question is, what's here today may be gone tomorrow.
Well, it is true. Some of those small airlines get a bad rep, and we had one in the 80s. Okay, when I was living in near Alamogordo, New Mexico, they had a small airstrip. That's fun.
Yes, it was actually.
They had a small airstrip at Alamogordo, and they called it the Alamogordo Airways. And you could hire these guys. They would fly you in like a single engine Cessna. They would fly you from Alamogordo to El Paso, Texas, to the airport where you could catch a big jet and then fly across country somewhere. And, they were really reasonable. But some of the rides they offered were kind of fun because they tended to go over the mountains and take a few shortcuts. And you know how when you get around the mountains, you've got pockets of warm rising air and cold air. And so your plane tends to do this a little bit. And those are some exciting times. We called it Alamogordo Scareways. And if any of you guys out there know what I'm talking about. But it was fun.
Interesting. I'm just trying to find something real quick.
Cup of half and half coffee in the morning. Oh, okay. And the occasional cup of decaf at night. Yeah, well, life is a flyway. My wife loves her coffee all during the day. From that morning until late that evening, she has a cup of coffee somewhere nearby. And I'm sorry, I've never been that crazy over it. Now, when I was in the military, I drank coffee. Of course, like everybody in the military, I think, drinks coffee, regardless whether you like it or not. And it's just mainly to keep you awake and focused what you're doing. But I did not like the flavor, did not like the taste. But yeah, you add enough cream and sugar in anything, and you could drink a cup full of muddy water out of out of a mud hole,
I'm just trying to do something here real quick.
Mary Roller says in Alaska they have pen air. They called it wind air. Yeah. So that's a good one.
Mr. Lee 3PO. So he asked if we could have Steve Isdall on the show. So I will
we
show
could send an invite. Yeah, but
well on November 24th, 2019, I sent Mr. Isdall a message. Steve, I recently wrote you a blog critical of you. Today I saw the unedited content of the video and I'm going to delete the blog. I may be a tough SOB, but I'm fair. So my apologies, because watching the video you made gave me a whole new appreciation what you had to stand for. Although I may not agree with you on a couple of points, I think there is some common ground that you and I do share. I do not believe that a Sasquatch is a monkey or ape or no, that's not whatever. I do not. I do believe that I do not believe a Sasquatch is a monkey or ape, but do believe that it is a primate closer to us than any other. You're right. There's a reason why they have not been bagged. If you were free tonight, I am doing a podcast and would like to have your views aired. And if there's any disagreement, particularly over Dr. Meldon, because I think what is lacking here is understanding. Both of the parties mentioned in your video do believe in what they espouse, so they are not lying. If you disagree, hey, let's debate it tonight with my YouTube and Facebook audiences. My number is such and such. I would really enjoy a dialogue with you. And that went unanswered. So the answer to that is he has no reason. That was 2019.
Yeah.
And that was before that was before he sent the Mark Anders picture up, posting it with, the kind of clickbaitish that he had. Todd Standing, no, I would never. Todd Standing was on this show once, and it was in 2000. Get this, 2007, very early 2007.
Yeah.
And I heard out what he had to say. He did not go off the rail, so we did not kind of pressure him. It was before all of the Muppet pictures or the puppet pictures or whatever he was passing off. And I just wanted to hear him out. But I won't have him on. I will not have a knowing hoaxer on this show. Because truthfully, Stan, if Standing would come on this show, I'd gladly have him on, but he's going to face a lot of questions he doesn't want to face, and he knows that, so he won't come on.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't expect him to accept the invite either, but especially with Steve Isdall, Mr. Isdall, he has nothing to gain. So he's not going to, right. Even with an invite, he's not going to show up on this show because there's nothing to be gained by it. And, that's not surprising to me. It's
that's right. Any of these guys that put that, of course, they're not coming on shows because they will, especially, knowing my reputation, I'll start asking really tough questions. Well, whatever, like Standing, whatever happened to all that hair you had?
Right.
And I know what his answer is going to be.
Yeah.
Answer is going to be, well, my house is broken into and they stole my Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Oh, They stole your Sasquatch. Did they steal your TV too? Did they steal your? Because I don't know. People who break into houses, they're like, oh, look at this TV, look at this computer, look at this gear, look at this gun, look at this whatever. Oh, look at this bag of hair. I think we'll grab that.
Leave everything except the bag of hair. Right. Okay.
And of course, he wants to allude that he's so important that some government agency is going to break into his house to take his Sasquatch hair. That's the real truth of the matter.
Well, that's kind of funny though. The people that claim they have evidence that systematically proves for real that Bigfoot exists, except they keep it in their house, hidden away. Why do that? Why, if you kept it in your house, you'd have to worry about the government getting it and stuff. No, you take it to your local news station or whatever, get it on camera. You'll be contacted. There'll be some scientists to say, hey, dude, you got DNA evidence. Let's check it out. We'll run this for you, Keeping stuff a secret is not any way to accomplish anything other than to maybe some of those guys with the promoters, they kind of drag stuff out like that, like the hand of unknown origin and things of that nature. But anything real, you could get that out to the world. I would think.
I'm not familiar necessarily with Kerry Arnold's work. Maybe I am, but it's not ringing a bell completely. There's so much, and folks don't understand. I generally worry about my own stuff and during the week, and if something catches my attention that's making a big round on Facebook, I'll grab it up and maybe talk about that, or if it's an interesting video. But Kerry Arnold, I haven't seen any of his work. I do not believe. I may have. Or I may have skimmed it real quick and went,
Yeah, there's always something on YouTube, but it's really not anything worthy of talking about. It's kind of like the guy that's got the kid's gorilla suit from Halloween, walking around through the backyard or something. It's something so ridiculous that it's not worthy of mentioning.
Yep. So, I'm very, very particular about necessarily bringing on guests that I don't know anymore. We've had some doozies over the years.
Yeah. I miss some of the prank calls we had on Block Talk Radio during those days. Those were fun.
Yeah. Chris and I have been at this, believe it or not. Chris has been the co-host of this show for 12 years now.
Yeah, and I'm Johnny come lately too,
Yeah, and the show's been in existence for 16 now.
Yeah.
16 years, and Chris has been here 12 of those 16 years. First was we had a few people fly through here. Billy Willard was probably the second longest co-host. Was pretty much for like 3 years. I used to do this podcast usually with a friend of mine or two, and they've lasted, a few months here, a few months there. And some worked out.
Billy was a good co-host. Big G was a good I like Big G too. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he was he was on that infamous show we did with Java Bob Schmalzbeck.
Yeah.
And actually, shortly thereafter, Big G left the show because you got your own life to live sometimes, and that's when Chris came in. And I remember that day with Java Bob, the Java Bob show, when Java Bob, got on the show under false pretenses, and then all of a sudden the phone line rang out, and it was Chris Bennett. And Chris stood up for the truth. And then Matt Knapp showed up, and he stood up for the truth. And Matt really grilled Java Bob. And I grilled him too, to the point where I let him talk his story out. He didn't realize I had his statement in a police report.
Yeah.
And he was saying, well, we felt our lives were threatened. And this had to do with the Bigfoot body hoax when they picked it up. And there was a gentleman with a gun there. I forget his name at this point in time. I think his name was maybe Frank or something. I have that information in my Panaflex here. And the funny thing is, the guy shouldn't even been holding a gun, truthfully, because he was a convicted felon.
Oh,
And that makes it really even more interesting because Matt Whitten was a cop. But anyway, this guy was walking around with a gun. I don't know. It may not have been loaded. It may not even been real. But, Jabba Bob had made the statement, in defense of everything. Oh, people don't know what we went through. We were in fear of our very lives when we picked it up because there was a guy pointing a gun at us. No, it wasn't. And Jabba Bob is continuing. Well, how do you know? You weren't there. So, well, I saw the video and all this other stuff. And I go, well, that's funny. And this is how the whole thing ended. That's funny, Bob, because I have your police report right here, the statement you made to police, and nowhere in it does it say anything that you were in fear of your life or a gun was pointed at you.
Yeah.
Boom. You didn't know what to say after that. One would think, and I was like, one would think you would say something to especially that point to the police that had occurred. But no.
Don't point a gun at me.
So at that point, we got another question from Mr. Lee 3PO. At that point, I hung up on Jabba Bob. I said, I'm not going to have somebody come on the show and tell lies.
Yeah.
And we kept him on for 37 minutes of the hour-long show at the time. Because at that time, we were only doing an hour-long show. What do I think of the Mark Zasky photos? Garbage. Mark Zasky was a clickbait guy looking for hits on his channels, and none of his stuff really had any stories behind them. Just, this is a Mexico Bigfoot. The Mexico Bigfoot looks like the Idaho Bigfoot, which, by the way, NVTV tried to say that was a Bigfoot from somewhere else too. So, it's just these guys. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if NBTV was Mark Zasky.
That's a thought.
Yeah. He may be just.
That's the bad thing about looking around on YouTube for Bigfoot videos. A lot of time when you find one, it's going to be a clickbait thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of YouTube Bigfoot clickbait channels that. Oh, the top 10 Bigfoot videos, and they'll show you hoax video after hoax video, or hoax picture after hoax picture, which has been debunked and ripped apart by the serious Bigfoot researchers. But the fly-by-nighters and the people, there's people who want to believe in everything. And some of the biggest flubs I've ever seen there was a particular Bigfoot organization. They had a drone video. I think it was in Colorado, and they came out right away. Oh, we went out there and there's all this evidence here and there, but really didn't do much to substantiate it. Yeah. And then 2 days later, the people that did the drone video said, "Oh, it was a hoax. Look," and then they put in the added photo. Gotcha.
Oh man.
Gotcha.
But there's some interest in these channels.
God dang it, you're right.
What?
I keep forgetting Mark Zasky with Mark Anders. Sorry. It's Mark Anders stuff. I don't know Mark Zasky.
Sorry, Donald.
I don't know. I don't know his stuff. Sorry.
I didn't catch it either.
Yeah. So maybe NVTV is Mark Anders. I always do that. Old age, buddies. Old age folks. I used to be a lot sharper a few years ago, but.
Well, there's something too that I think that a lot of the people like on YouTube. It seems like they like the Bigfoot stories videos, that tell about the old sightings and stuff. And I'm kind of partial to those.
So if I find some time, I'll look into this Mark Zasky guy. You're right. I haven't heard much about good stuff. Yeah. It does say, Steve made a point. It does say something. The top 10 Bigfoot videos are hoaxes. Now, what it says is there's a lot of charlatans in this thing. And with the advent of social media, there's another good question. Boy, Mr. Lee 3PO is killing it with some great questions tonight. I'll get to that in a second. I will take a look at the Zasky stuff. I don't think I've heard good stuff about it, but I don't know enough to really comment on it. I'll take a look, and chances are I'll be, oh yeah, that. But Who is a badass researcher to you? Aside from myself, no. I've worked with a lot of good people. Tack, Mike Gann, Joe Snyder, Western New York Bigfoot. Kristen the Day was a badass researcher. He's kind of stepped back from it a little bit. Yeah,
I put some miles in.
Yeah, sure did. When you were out there, you were out there. There's a few people that beat the brush pretty regularly. Brent Dill, he's beating that brush pretty good now. Trying to think, there's so many that escape my mind. Mike Waldy from the Texas Bigfoot Rangers. Shelley Covington, Montana. So many.
There's a lot of people
Derek
out
Collier.
there.
There's a lot of
people out there that's putting boots on the ground.
The Olympic Project. Guys from the Olympic Project. The guys from the Bluff Creek Project. They're all beating the brush, doing what they need to get done.
And that's what it takes. That's what it takes.
John Wilk and Dave McCullough from Squatchdetective.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's great to be able to research and put together information and stuff.
Let's not forget Matt. Let's not forget Matt from
Matt,
Central Florida Bigfoot.
Does a great job, yeah.
These guys are beating the brush every day. What I consider a badass researcher is a researcher who goes out there and tells the truth and goes out there, and not everything is a Bigfoot, and not everything, every tree break is a Bigfoot, not every crossed tree branch is a Bigfoot, and not every, funny indentation in the ground is a Bigfoot, and not, every little bump in the night, every little sound is a Bigfoot, or here's a barred owl and says, there are literally hundreds of badass researchers out there. That I consider.
If you're,
Kark is a decent bunch of guys as well. The Catskill Appalachian Research crew. They're great. If
you're out there putting the miles on with boots on the ground and doing your deal and giving it your all, man, I mean, pat on the back from Squatch-D TV. You're doing a great job. There's nothing wrong with it. If you can't get into the woods, and you want to compile information or something
Henry
like that.
May.
That's great. Yeah, Henry is a great researcher. He may not be putting boots on the ground, but as much as some other people, but Henry's got a lot of great info, and he really, he puts out a weekly show of different stuff he talks about. It's great. And it's easy, to go, even if you're able, and you go out and you can find, evidence and stuff fairly, if you got a good area and you can find it fairly reasonably often. It's easy to go out there. What's hard to do is to pull those boots up and get out there every other day or whatever and go 6 to 12 miles and not find anything.
Yep, and Grass is right. Henry is an encyclopedia.
Yes, exactly. Henry is a walking encyclopedia of Bigfoot. It certainly is, and other cryptids.
But you got, as far as the history, I'm pretty decent at it as well now. I've done my fair share of reading, and Chris can attest to that I know a lot about the Four Horsemen. I know a lot about the Patterson Gimlin stuff. I know a lot about the Paul Freeman stuff. I know a lot about Bauman and Chapman's and the siege at Honaby, and there's a lot of stuff that I knew. Things to me now are so, like when people ask me about Zasky's photos or Carpenter's photos or porcupines in the forest, it's so much part of my French. There is just so much bull out there that it's just too hard to follow it all. It's like this guy. So I try to group everybody, but if somebody was to check my computer, I have almost right now. I have almost a terabyte of catalogs of investigate what I call my investigation files, which will have things that researchers in the past have said, people that are no longer researching, or people that are nobody's heard of in a while. Stuff like that's come out, and I have everything, all of that kind of stuff cataloged. So if ever they pop up and try to say, hey, I can pull that stuff up. Oh, really? How about this? As you know, it's almost like I become a little bit of an archiver at times, and I have a lot of time to do that. And I wish I could get more out in the woods than I have been. Work schedule's really tough, podcast schedule, so but I get out there several times a year, and I hop and I follow those sighting reports. Now I do it smartly, not necessarily just I'm going to go out in the woods for the sake of being out in the woods. I'm going to go out in the woods when I know an area is hot, when I know it's there, when I know stuff is going on or potentially going on, or looking at a new area. So, oh yeah, Porcupine Guy posted the other video today. Need to burn some minutes of my. Yeah, the Porcupine Guy.
Not me.
Another question. Did I ever dig into the Rogers Rangers incident in the woods of Vermont? Well, I have. Actually, no, I did not. The actual reference comes from, I believe he's now deceased. I may be wrong. But there was a gentleman who used to write for the Glens Falls Post-Star. He was a town historian. His name was Paul Reno. Oh, look at that. The memory's working tonight. Paul Reno. And Paul Reno is the one who dug up that information on Rogers Rangers. One of the lieutenants who was the team diarist. He would write the diaries of the Rangers and their movements and their experiences. And he had written at a time about a group of bears throwing rocks at them. And they were repelled with a volley of shot. And we all know that bears do not throw rocks. Now, could it be misidentified Native Americans? I doubt it very much, knowing the skill that Rogers Rangers had. So, very interesting. And it's very also interesting that sometimes a Sasquatch in like the early 1800s would be called bearmen as opposed to, because it was pre the discovery or the knowing of what a gorilla was.
Yes.
Or an ape. And then as the mid to late 1800s started to come through, then people started calling them, ape men, or a baboon man, or something of that ilk.
Most of the earlier sightings referred to a wild man or a wild hairy man, and then after the discovery of the gorilla, then they started calling them ape man,
hairy man, wild man. Yep.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Cool. Yep. It was an I want to say circa 1880 incident in Margaretville, New York, which is in Delaware County, New York. Kind of lower central state in Margaretville, where a wild man actually startled a woman and her husband on a horse and buggy.
Right.
The horse reared up, and the wild man continued on into the woods. And I've actually been down that road that it occurred.
Cool.
It still exists. It's just really cool. But that is a traditional Bigfoot sighting, and a roadside crossing of a Bigfoot, except they called it the wild man. Large, reddish brown, hair covered wild man crossed the road, because that was.
There's a lot of fascinating sightings throughout history that are just like that, Steve. There's one, Daniel Boone is an account. He's supposedly shot one in Kentucky. And that was an exciting story to read through if you find it somewhere. He called it Yahoo. And there's been all types of speculation, well, maybe it's just a made up tale that he did because he enjoyed the story Gulliver's Travels, But there's about all you can do is speculate over things like that. But some of the things he described, about it being 10 foot tall and hairy. Okay, that sounds pretty interesting.
Life of Sly, is that the original Grassman story? No. In fact, the Grassman is not really a term we've used here in New York at all.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There is that's more of an Ohio term, the Grassman. Trying to think if there was a creature in the Adirondacks to the north, probably I would say Jefferson County, Essex County, New York, that area of the Adirondacks. There was old slippery skin. And so there's lots of tales of old slippery skin that was back in the 1880s. Yeah, and Laughing Picker said, never heard that term too. But you know what? Then again, unless you're looking for, a lot of people may not have heard of Momo in Missouri.
Yeah.
Until they, oh, look at that. So it, and then again, internet, think about that too. Not that it's a fake. What I'm kind of saying is the term probably was bouncing around, but it didn't really become well known until the internet, when everybody started talking about tales of the Ohio Grassman. TAC, reminds me of the first Bigfoot sighting on 1818 in Sackett's Harbor, New York, which is up in Mike's neck of the woods. And that area, was very remote and rural back in 1818, and still is to some extent. The amazing thing that always amazes me is, how the story progressed over the years. The descriptions.
Steve, there's one in here from New York. Is it Batavia?
Batavia.
Batavia? Okay. Yep. From 1960, it says Batavia Daily News was skeptical but still ran a big photo of an 8-inch footprint left by a mystery beast under the railroad bridge over Tonawanda Creek near Walnut Street on a summer night in 1960. And it's quoted here. It says, well, it wasn't a ghost, that's for sure, because it left footprints, reported the Daily News. And what tracks? 8 inches long. But if it wasn't a ghost, then what was it? As Donald Polone, 15, and a few of his friends crossed the bridge one night, they heard a loud, terrifying, banshee-like scream resounded from the area of the creek below. So, yeah, that's 1960.
Yeah. That's pre-Patterson. Cool. I like all the pre-Patterson stuff.
But now, I don't think an 8-inch track would be that far away from the human scale.
And that's true, but they also had a slippery skin in the northern Adirondacks as well.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, this stuff, the subject is just fascinating. I mean, now with the internet, man, you can actually sit down and surf the net for hours. Just pick something out your home state or country, if you're listening from somewhere else in the world, and just type in Bigfoot sightings or wildman sightings. Yeah.
So many good names. The Otter Man.
Yeah.
And Alaska, the Kushtaka. Kushtaka. And then we also have the Bushman from Alaska as well.
Oh yeah.
And just so you know, a little,
maybe
the Iroquois up here in New York call them the Adenarhe, which meant stonish giant, which a lot of different folks, or a lot of the Native American tribes called in their native tongues them stone giants or stonish giants.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yep. Cool stuff.
Joe has to go cut some wood. Have a good night, Joseph. Thank you for coming in.
Curious Cryptid coming in with the banshee scream was probably a cougar, big cat for clarity.
He may be talking about Joe. Joe had encountered some sort of scream Now, Curious Cryptid said probably cougar, but the areas in New York, we have a lot of bobcat too. So it could be a bobcat.
Yeah.
The only way really to make sure it's a cougar, unless it's got that, that type of growl, Yep. The Leicester Leaper. Leicester Leaper is another one from Western New York. Be 25 minutes from Batavia. So,
yeah.
Jim Wilson, welcome. He said, smelled one last fall loading my car at the cabin.
Hey, Jim.
And, and Tack also said could be Fisher cats too. They may. Well, Fisher cats aren't necessarily cats. They're actually related to weasels, but they do make some strange friggin' noises.
That's another good point.
Interesting thing, Jim, saying, well, welcome, Jim, and thank you for your comment. Welcome to the show.
Good to see you, Jim.
Smelled one last fall loading my car at the cabin. It's very interesting. I did smell one back in 2006 when we got the Ford and cast. And, when we found the track for the Ford and cast, I should say. And I'll never forget that night. We heard something moving around. And after we did some calls and some tree knocks and just waited, and we heard something moving behind us into, if I was facing, I believe, I want to say north, depending on which way, and something moved around us from the west, going eastward around us, continuing eastward to our north, I should say. So we were facing east. Something came up behind us and kind of went around us on our north side and continued east. And during that time, it just boom, there it was, this flipping foul stench that I had never smelled in the forest before, nor again.
Yeah.
It smelled like death, garbage, musk, wet dog, skunk, all just rolled into one.
Yep.
It smelled like something and I have been a paramedic. I have gone into houses where people have been dead for a week or two. And it was different than that smell. It wasn't something dead. Had similar qualities, but no, it wasn't quite the same. It was and the minute I smelled it, you knew what it was. And then just as quick as it was there, it was gone. So then we start to progress to get our night equipment because it was dusk. We got in at dusk and it was now dark. So we were moving by flashlight or red light. So we go out and we were sweeping for tracks, as we're walking, and boom, there was the Ford and cast. We go back the next day in daylight, we find the trackway, which is really cool. And that's all on the website as well in the archive section. So,
can't mistake the stink. Yeah, that's true, Jim.
Yeah. I'm inclined to wonder if some are confusing the smell of a deer's tarsal gland for a Bigfoot. Nah, I've been around enough deer. Enough deer. I know what they smell like.
Yeah.
And it smells pretty rotten, but not to the extent. I mean, this thing was probably a good. And here's the other thing too. We found a trackway. And if you've seen the Ford and cast, it's not a deer. And there were no deer tracks, no ungulate droppings. We looked around during the day. We were scouring that whole mountain, looking for, and we actually followed it and found some more tracks in a bog. So, and Bill Brand had cast
that's
those.
The funny thing about Bigfoot sightings. Some will report a distinct odor and some no odor at all. And I don't know whether it maybe depend on which way the direction of the wind was blowing that day or during the sighting or what, but
don't know.
I've heard, or read all types, and I've had it experience to where, we caught a distinct musty wet dog smell one night, and we caught some eye shine right after that.
Right.
And then I had another sighting during daytime. There was, no odor whatsoever. But boom, there it was. So, well, what can you make of it? I don't know.
Yep.
Maybe sometimes some of them are cleaner than others.
Yeah. Well, here's the other interesting thing too. Is we all talk about that musky smell, and what I found is that an apple, what breaks down an apple and ferments them, and if anybody knows that Jane Goodall, when she habituated the chimps, they liked the fermented apples that were laying around better than the fresh ones she was giving them because they gave them a little bit of a buzz.
Right.
The chemical that breaks them down is called ethyl, that actually ferments them. And in pure form, ethyl smells like musk. So I'm wondering if a Sasquatch has a very rich apple diet for a day or two. You know how we eat too much garlic or too much onions, we tend to sweat that smell
right. It
out
comes
of us.
out. You can smell it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if the ethyl does that with these rotten apples.
I don't know. That's that's a thought. Yeah.
It's a thought process. Not sure. But it's really going to be hard to prove because you got to find a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
That's
Here,
apple.
eat these rotten apples. And...
So.
But it is cool. That's one of the things that, I found odd about a lot of the sightings. Some of them report an odor, some of them not. And,
well, here's the thing. Mary Rose, I heard females may key off a sweet smell like flowers. No, any primate will actually key off a smell like flowers, especially if it's a sweet smell, because our even us, we smell something sweet, it stimulates us. Why? Because we are very particular to sweet and salty. That's why we like our salty snacks. That's why we like our candy, because our sweet and salty are what we enjoy. That's what starts the dopamine in our brains to give us the pleasure from eating those particular items.
Maybe a defense thing. Yeah, Jen, that sounds.
Could be.
Yeah.
Very well could be, especially in the circumstance we were in. It walked around us very close, and maybe it was coming up the hill, saw us, and it emitted this because it was trying to get away from us, which it did. So that's a good point. And that's it could be like the apocrine glands in a gorilla, which they give off this stench when they're under stress.
Well, it was the same year that my dad and I found those tracks in our tobacco patch. I'm thinking around 2007, that I had been riding a dirt bike back on the back end of the farm. And we had this one area where a pond had went dry. And this happens, sometimes every so many years, your pond will just go dry. And what you have to do is, have a bulldozer or something come in there and clean it out, and then get all the loose dirt off the bottom, and then finally it'll start holding water again. But I'd rode a dirt bike back in there, and where this pond went dry at was kind of near a wooded area, and in the middle of the pond, it had started growing some, weeds, trees, brush, whatever you want to call it. And man, I rode past that, and I got oh my gosh, it was a really bad, dead, rotting animal odor, like something had been there for several days, had been decaying. And I stopped there for a second, and then I got pulled out fast because, my God, it was about to make me sick. It instigated the gag reflex. And so I got the hell out of there. And, I went back to the house, parked the dirt bike in the barn. And I didn't talk to my dad for, a couple of days. I popped over next door at the house. And I asked him, said, Dad, you have a calf or something die? No? Why? I said, well, I smell something dead back over there by the old dried up pond. I thought you might have pitched a calf bone or drug a calf out there and, left it out there in the middle of the old dried up pond. No, nothing's died there that I know of. So I go back there again. No odor, no smell, nothing. There was no odor in the area. It was gone. And just a few weeks later, while we were cutting tobacco, that's when we found those tracks. And so that's, afterwards, when it happens, you don't have two and two to put together. But afterwards, you kind of think, well, I wonder if those two incidents could have been related,
Chris, you know which one I'm going to pull up? I would say that's a good one.
I agree. I think so.
And, you can see the science and all the investigation that went into it.
And,
statement by Dr. Maccabee.
Yeah. The naysayers there, talked about it probably being an owl, but unfortunately for that theory, I mean, you got to look, you can put the pareidolia to use there and you can make an owl. But the problem is when you've got
when you start looking at the other minutiae
shadow
to it, like this,
right,
and like this, and then you realize, especially with Dr. Maccabee's backing, that the shadow is way too close to that.
Right.
To be. Now the other one, and this is much harder to see because there's the Pridgeon video. And by the way, there's videos on these on both the channels, plus the website, which has a real good breakdown of them.
So if you're if you're listening to the podcast, make sure you check out the YouTube channel to see these videos or photos rather,
and the website as well. It's
and the website,
like this, like on the website, we have the original diagram written by Doug, which he only saw the one, but there was actually two, and it's very hard to see in what you're seeing here.
Yeah,
you see this movement of one walking, and as it's walking, now it's over here. And now you see the head move, and then one jumps up, appears to jump off the back or off the front of one. It'll go up here in the woods. And I know because I've looked at this thing frame by frame by frame and put probably a couple 100 hours into reviewing this video more than. So when people, the fly-by-nighter say, oh, it's this, it's that, it's this. Well, did you look at that or that or that?
Well, I was highly critical.
Now you look. This thing is completely dark in the background. There's no clothing. There's no right. Somebody tried to say this is the antenna of a car. Maybe there's a whip antenna, and no, we've already checked into that as well. There was no whip antenna on the car, but if you look, this is the motion the little one made in the tree, and then in and down. Yeah. And if you look at and what I have is the weather chart, which at the time. Weather data for the time suggested 0 miles per hour wind speed, debunking the antenna there.
Yeah.
Wind whipping this whip antenna around, which you would have to have whipped it this way and bend it all the way to this point and bring it all the way back and down. Makes no sense, the direction of the creature nor the wind to verify that. So,
and the New York baby video, I got to say, that's one I was extremely skeptical of. And it was my opinion, it's probably just a monkey. And, after studying it with Steve and looking at it frame by frame.
There's no tail, number one.
Yeah, that blew my theory out the window. So now it went from being, I'm extremely skeptical to, hey, I kind of like this. I don't know. I'm not sure. So, I kind of like it now. Still don't know what it is. Can't say for sure what it is, but what I thought it may be, the critical aspect of what I thought to be would debunk it. It didn't. That fell through. Yep. So
there was no pets allowed on that property. There was, and I spoke to the property owner themselves. There was no zoo escapes. It's illegal to own a primate in New York to boot, unless you're a zookeeper. But then we come back to, if a zookeeper is not going to enter into an area where primates are not allowed, people ask, well, why would it be across the pond from this music festival? Well, there's an apple orchard there, and there's wild strawberries and wild blackberries and wild raspberries back there as well. I finally did visit that property, and the amount of fruit that was there was amazing. Something could live there very nicely for a long while. It's not too far from the Plattekill area. It's not too far from the Appalachian Mountains. So, it makes it's not too far from the Catskills as well. So there's a lot of reasons why that could very well be possible there. And the fact is that video was taken in 1997 and wasn't discovered by the videographer until 2002 when his fiance went, "Hey, what the hell was that, Doug?" and he didn't even see the big one. I put it up on a giant screen TV, and automatically I saw the big one. So, and good night, life is a flyway. Glad you can make it here for most of the show.
Yeah.
But
a lot of times you can see the detail when you put it up on the big screen that you didn't notice before.
Years ago, So, and then Nick says, I was impressed he brought in Dr. Bruce Maccabee for that. He's a leader in particular field of optical physics. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I would think no other. And if you watch the video to hear Dr. Maccabee say, and the funny thing is you can even hear him say, during the interview, we actually, that was a clip from the radio show when we premiered the Vermont trail cam photo. And that was a huge show. People were all over the place. And then it was kind of funny in that show, you hear Dr. Maccabee go, talking to his wife, "Come here, take a look at this." Remember that?
Yeah.
He was really excited. Unfortunately, no, I can't show the video I mentioned right now. I would have to upload that into the thing for it to play correctly or for you to get sound. So, but they are available on the channel. On part of the video content, not the live content, but the video content. And they're pretty easy to find. You'll see the Vermont, Bigfoot caught on trail camera, and we're one of them. And they are on the YouTube channel. That question is for charity. So thank you for so much for popping in.
Yeah, it's good to have you, Charity. Thanks.
And guys, for all those new to the channel or anything like that, do us a solid, please give us a like, a sub, even a share. Share this video. Sharing is caring. So
if you're listening, hit the thumbs up. Come on, bump that thumbs up button. We need that. It really helps. A lot of people don't understand. It really helps with the search algorithm. It really does. Because unless you have thumbs up and comments and stuff like that, the YouTube search algorithm will just pass you by. I mean,
a lot of times I have to preset videos that we show on the channel. So I really set that up. So, and we can do something on Patterson Gimlin, and we can do some video stuff.
Thanks, Jim. You too, bud.
Well, thank you, Charity. I appreciate it. We try to have a fun time. We try to be, this. Yeah. This is going to be, for those who are new, and I notice a lot of new names in here today, which is an awesome thing. For us, we don't fluff. This is not a fluff channel. We're not going to tell you every Bigfoot. You're not going to hear stories about how I survived a Bigfoot attack for the last 4.5 days. When as if you do hear a story of that, we will bring that person on to fend for themselves.
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, I have a really great idea for a show before we go for the break. I just need to get him on. And, well, have you ever heard of the story of the Giant of Kandahar? Allegedly during the Afghanistan conflict.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
I got you. Yeah,
right?
I read that. Yeah.
Now the account is not all true.
Yeah.
But according to this gentleman who I've met in person and spoke to in person,
okay,
claims it did happen. I can't
That'd be
speak to the veracity of that.
Yeah.
But maybe I can get him on the show. Maybe not show his face. Maybe not give away his identity, but I know who he is. I know his name. and we'll put them on. We'll talk to them and see what we think.
I would like to hear it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to hear the facts of, not the added in rest of the stuff that went along.
And you too, and you too, Sandra. Good night. God bless.
Thanks, Sandra.
And Mary's going too. And thank you, Mary. Good night.
Thanks, Mary.
So I think that would be kind of an interesting show and kind of
yeah.
Yep, everybody Charity says that'd be a great show. So
well, the thing is about this show too is, we don't sugarcoat stuff. We're not gonna, if there's an account that's we're gonna look at it realistically and they're gonna say, hey, I either like this or no, I don't like this. I'm out, And I think we could probably get a lot more people watching the show if we went along with everything that came out. Like, oh, yeah, this is the greatest thing since Patterson Gimlin video or something. But, man, that's just not the truth. And we're not about that. We're not about that. You're going to get the truth here. The truth may not always be as entertaining as we'd like for it to be, but that's just the way it is. That's the way it goes.
Yep. So yeah, that's what we always try to do is, Chris hit it right on the head. If something doesn't pass the smell test, when I have a guest on, I my job is not to embarrass the guest. We'll have this guy, if we can get this guy on, we will talk to him about it. We'll ask him questions and then have a follow-up show, maybe evaluate what we listened to or what we heard or what we thought.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a fair way. I try not to pressure my guests to make them feel like they're going to have a gotcha moment or anything like that. We'll listen to them. And, people for some reason go, oh, why didn't you jump down their throat? Or why didn't you do that? Or, why didn't you call some people out? That's easier,
there's a line, your media are okay. You're trying to get the story told. And at the same time, you're also an investigator, but you kind of like listen to the story first, then you can do the investigating.
and plus, are you when you invite somebody into your house, are you rude to them?
Yeah, we don't want to do that. No.
The reason why, I talk about the only time we ever did that with a guest was Java Bob, because he completely snookered his way in and then completely turned 180 degrees to what he was saying. So now you're coming in the house and insulting me. So guess what? Now you just open yourself. But if I come in and somebody comes in, I'm going to say, I would ask this question, there are going to be some tough questions and here they are. Well, but I'm not going to sit there and accuse anybody or try to call anybody out necessarily or, say, okay, well, we thank you for coming on. Thank you for telling your story. We'll move on. And then if something doesn't make sense to us, we'll discuss it the following week or at another point in time. Yeah. Or if we keep the guy on in the first hour, I don't know how long we would do that. Depending on how long the story is, but it sounds like a pretty interesting story. And I like to get all the background on it anyway. Yeah. Like we had the great Ray on the show, talking about the Mapinguari.
Yeah, that was a great show. I loved having Ray on.
And we have the buildup. We have a military guy, so he's got other stories to tell and, build some his credibility to what he experienced. And that's what we want to do. Let's talk to Mapinguari.
Dang good show.
And I got to thank Tack for getting me hooked up with him as well. I mean, just what a great guy he is, and I hope he's having if he's out there listening, Ray, I hope you're having a great Father's Day as well. And
That's
Tack,
right.
If you talk to him, tell him I wish him a happy Father's Day. I know he's a very proud papa. Yep. Don't mess with Ray. Yep. I wouldn't mess with him. And, the amazing thing is Ray is now a scientist too. So it's just an amazing guy. I love the guy. But yeah, so we try not, for those who haven't, we never try to candy coat anything. And we call it like we see it. If people, there's some people that may take it personally. I'm sorry. This is not personal.
No,
I don't sit there and hate anybody really.
Right.
unless you really lie or try to hurt me, then I don't like you very much. And unless you come back and apologize and make amends. And believe it or not, there was only a couple of people on that scale, and that would have been Biscardi and Dyer. And believe it or not, when Nikki had that show with Dyer on it, and I hopped on it, and it was kind of a free for all for a little bit, and then everything calmed down. We ended up talking, and Dyer kind of turned his tone down and around.
Well,
and then we did an after show, and Dyer stayed on, and we had a long talk, and he apologized. So I have to take that anger away now from him, because man to man, if you apologize to me, I'm not a resentful. If anybody knows me, I am not a resentful. Beep. But I can let a lot of things slide, and that's why I don't have a lot of people I hate in my life. I don't have time for that chip on my shoulder. I don't have time for that poison and resentment. There's a couple of people that I do not like very much because they've tried to hurt me in the past, or they have hurt me in the past, and most of them are on the personal side. And there's only really, I can't even count them on one hand. So, I'm not the kind of guy that goes around angry.
Oh no, I love everybody. I even love Rick Dyer. It's fine. I just, if he told me that Bigfoot was holding him hostage, I probably wouldn't believe him.
I'd get a good laugh over it.
Yeah. No, we don't dislike anybody or make enemies.
A couple of people like Mr. 3PO said Rick does get on my nerves a bit. Yeah, he does. He can do that. He can do that. But you see, I have. My job profession, I deal with a lot of different people. And I've been in pretty much the same kind of work where I have to deal with different people, different personalities, different, I have to deal with the whole gambit. I deal with people that are straight up, people that are super conservative, people that are straight up thug, people that are, or have addictions, people that I deal with all these people, and I have to navigate through it. So I'm very, how should I say it? I'm very
journalistic,
but I'm also very much winding through that. Oh, look at that. Bigfoot. Leon says, I've enjoyed joining you guys for that interview.
Be good.
You got it, brother. We'd be glad to have you back on the dais.
Would.
So.
Be our honor, Leon.
You do get on my nerves a bit too, just saying. That I'm doing my job. Because I should get on every Bigfoot researcher's nerves, because they're like, you know what? I could be doing things better, or I could be doing things different. And you know what? People get on my case about certain things too. They're right. They're right.
Oh, Mick, you're killing me. No, I want to try our meatloaf. I'm a brave man. Oh man.
But I have so much fun with the chat room crew. And I hope you guys listening out there on Audible and Spotify and stuff like that, you can join us live at 9 p.m. Eastern on Sunday nights.
Yeah.
Come into the chat room. Y'all know that if you got an Audible or Amazon account or a Spotify account or iHeartRadio account or Apple Podcast, whatever, with that, all those little platforms we're on, you all know that you got a YouTube account too.
Yeah.
So if you got time, watch us in replay. If you got time, join us in the live chat, and support us that way. It'll be a lot of fun. Oh, and there's another new name, Mr. Patrick Cassidy. Welcome, Patrick.
Welcome.
Make
sure if you're listening to the podcast, stop by the YouTube channel and watch the replay. You can check out, it might take a day or so, but the chat room replay will also start loading up, and some of these guys in here, you guys kill me. These comments. Oh, we're so proud of you. I mean,
God, we are a bunch of funny mother. See, I love that new sensor.
That is great, isn't it? It is great.
You know, Harold, what do you think? I think Harold likes it too.
Yes.
Anyway, but yes, we have a lot of fun.
I want to say I love the graphic you put up for this one, Steve. Dad's gone squatching, proudly refusing to ask directions since 1845. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
How many men out there have ever been lost and would not ask for directions, even when pressured to?
Don't worry, I can find it on my own.
I'll find it. No, we're almost there. We're within a few miles. We'll get there. We'll find it.
See, well, you know the neat thing in the good old the Squatch Bronco is I plug this sucker in there and it loads the maps right in. I never get lost.
Yeah.
I never get lost.
Before the days of GPS and smartphones and stuff, a lot of men would not ask directions when they were looking for something, and even though they were being pestered to and pestered to stop and ask directions and egged on by maybe their significant other, just right out. Refuse it. No, I'm going to find it. I don't need directions. No. I've done it, and I know everybody else has too at some point.
So anyway, Chris, let's wrap up the show with our sad news of the week that the season, hopefully it's just the season finale, not the series finale this week of the Obi-Wan series.
Oh, yeah.
And what a wild ride that's been.
Oh.
Like, I think the last one kind of like sewed it up like, wow, that just put the last 4 episodes. This is episode 5. Put the last 4 episodes all into perspective. Now you're like, now I understand.
Right. Yeah.
So what comes in number 6? I don't know.
Whatever it is, I'm waiting with bated breath. I love it. I've loved all those Disney remakes they've done with the Obi-Wan and the brain's dead here, Steve.
And the Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian.
The Book of Boba Fett.
The Book of Boba Fett.
And then we got Ahsoka coming up. And
I've
Andor.
loved all those.
Andor is the next one up.
Yeah.
Andor starts.
Can't wait for that.
That should be very fast. Interesting stuff. So
it's great stuff for the Star Wars nerds, and which I am one. I like that. I like that.
To say it. Me too. Yep.
Well,
Chris and I grew up with that. I mean, we were
we
were there in the movie theaters in 1977 watching that, and
who had a Star Wars lunchbox? The little metal lunchbox had the little cool little thermos cooler in there and everything. Oh yeah.
But yeah, how old was I in 1977? I was 8 years old.
Let's see. It came out in, 77? 76, 78? I don't remember.
Well, Mick, I thought the lightsaber battle last week that we saw, I'm not going to say with whom, but I thought Vader had quite the skill.
Not too many spoilers.
Vader had quite the skill.
Yeah.
And then we saw what he did at the end of Rogue One, which by now, the Star Wars fans have seen.
1977. Okay, I was 11. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yes. Definitely Vader demonstrates his mastery of the Force.
And I think what you're seeing, especially in the beginning episodes, and I think you're going to see him come full circle in the series finale, is that, he was feeling pretty bad, sorry for himself. He was feeling, Obi-Wan was feeling like he let everybody down.
Yep.
And that, even to some extent, at the end of Revenge of the Sith, you saw Yoda act all kind of, I failed, you know.
Yeah.
But now you're starting to see there it is. Nick said, yeah, he saw. Yep.
Saw the original Star Wars 21 times in its first run.
Yep.
My dad's
So I
friend was a
can
camera
understand
operator.
Nick's
Oh, cool.
propensity for not liking any of the newer stuff. I understand that. Some
Yeah.
people, you know, to me, I love the universe. You know, I love that universe. It's your own little world, and the more stuff they can give you, the more you can stay in that world. It's fantasy, so
Yeah.
you know, it's not even science fiction; it's fantasy. And you get in there, it's like, wow.
And Mary says, I'm a Trekkie. Me too, Mary. I love that. Hey, they've got a new one, that Strange New World, Star Wars Strange New World. That's a good one.
I've had a hard time getting into that one, believe it or not.
I've been watching it. Yeah, so far it's hit and miss. But you know, the original Star Trek was like that. Some of the episodes was like, oh wow, this is great. And then the next episode was like, they could have done better, you know, but so far though, with the Star Wars remakes on these shows, like now with Obi-Wan, every episode, I haven't found one yet that I've said, they could have done better. No. Every one of them has been like, wow, you know, oh. And some of them, you know, especially, okay, yes, I like the dark guy, Darth Vader. Okay, that evil, you know, I like that. But some of the episodes I've had with him.
I find this whole idea of the Sith fascinating.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm going to start. I listen to a lot of Audible, you know, because I get about a 40. You know, by the time I leave for work, I take about an hour and I meander to work. I stop off, get my provisions for the day. I may gas up. I may wash the car, and I find myself at work, and I end up listening to Audible quite a bit. So I'm going to start listening to some of the Kanan books, like Darth Bane and the Legend of Darth Plagueis. And you know, I want to dive into that. Rogue One was phenomenal, especially how it led right to the very beginning. The ending of Rogue One led right up to the beginning of Star Wars: A New Hope, which came out in '77, the first one that we've seen. So anyway, well, Chris, it's 10:53. So we can sign off now. And you know what? When the series is completed, not next week, we may talk a little bit we'll talk a little bit about next Sunday. So for all those that want any little Star Wars talk that we have put on because it's something fun we like to talk about.
Yeah.
You know, what we didn't talk about is the whole Vince McMahon thing. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Looks like he's paying a little hush money, but so that's caused a little bit of a bump. But we'll see how that plays out. That's got a lot of personal life stuff. So to me, it's like
maybe let's do after the Obi-Wan series is complete here. We'll do maybe a little talk about that if everybody gets a chance to watch it. I love talking about nerdy stuff like that sometimes, and it's a good little break. You know, not everything is Bigfoot. Okay, if we don't have like a new sighting this week that we can discuss or a new photograph, it's okay to talk a little bit on the side. You know,
hey,
something else.
That's what we are. We're all friends here.
Yeah.
But anyway, Chris, do your thing so we can get out of here.
I want to thank everybody in the chat for being here with us. We love you guys. We so appreciate you joining us, and love all the comments, love all the questions. If it's the first time watching on YouTube or even listening to on the podcast, check out the YouTube channel. Pop a like, hit a subscribe. It really helps us out in the search algorithm. It helps people find the channel better, and share it. As Steve always says, sharing is caring. We appreciate it.
That certainly is. And guys, on behalf of everybody here at Squatch-D TV, me and Chris, and whoever's hiding out behind me somewhere. We want to wish everybody a happy and safe week. Hey, you know what? The official start of summer is almost here.
Yeah.
Next week, our next show.
2 more days. Yeah. Summer.
Next Sunday, we will be in summer.
Yes.
Plus we'll have another surprise. Another surprise next week coming. So anyway, folks, on behalf of everybody here, have a happy, safe, healthy week. We want to wish everybody a great Father's Day for all your fathers out there. And folks, God bless and keep on squatching. We'll catch you here all next Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Squatch-D TV, Squatchdetective.com, 8 Central. Toodaloo.
Hey folks, you've been watching Squatch-D TV. Join us each week, Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for the latest on the Bigfoot mystery. As always, we thank you for being our loyal viewers and encourage all to subscribe to our YouTube page at youtube.com/Steve Kulls. As always, have a great week. Stay safe. God bless and keep on squatching.